Well, here we are. It is Friday, September 20th, 2024, and this is, of course, the weekly newsletter sort of update and report on what's been going on in the Asian art market and the auctions. Of course, it's Asia Week this week, so a great deal is going on. And I'm going to get to a whole bunch of it in a minute. We made some changes to the also to the Bidamount newsletter page. We've added some color into this week to sort of let everybody know that some things have changed over there, and we're going to get to that at the end of the video, so stick around. I think you're going to like it. And one of the things I wanted to mention, though, before we get started, because I got some kind of very sad news a few days ago. Those of you who use the forum and are familiar with the site and are regulars and so forth, and you all knew Charlotte Richie. And Charlotte Richie very sadly passed away on September 13th. She was a lovely, lovely person. Truly a great, really nice. I started communicating her back and forth a number of years ago when she first appeared and interested. And she was a true collector, a fan, and she was a nice person. And it wasn't about the money. It was about buying things that were beautiful. She liked kutani. Many of you may remember Charlotte for her interest in kutani and Japanese wares in particular, though she did buy Chinese things too. But she loved beautiful things. And she was a lot of fun to talk to. I spoke to her several weeks ago when she knew she was in a lot of trouble medically. And we had a very nice chat. And it was amazing, even facing what she was facing. She was still Charlotte. She was, chatty and friendly and laughing and all that. And just shortly after that, she went into hospice. And she passed away on September 13th. And her partner and I spoke on the phone, and he's of course very devastated by it. But she was a great lady, and those of you that knew her through the forum and through comments, she would comment on videos. You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, we're going to miss Charlotte. We're going to miss Charlotte a lot. So, things happen, as they say, and this was a bad thing, but. Any rate, I think we're all going to remember Charlotte for a long time. All right, now moving along, we got a bunch of things to talk about today. All things Charlotte would have loved, and we're going to start. Sotheby's. I'm going to do separate videos on the Sotheby's sale. I recorded a big chunk of the Freeman sale that's taking place today. They are having a wildly successful auction, in my opinion, right on the heels of Doyle's, who had a wildly successful auction, I think, as well. Sotheby's also had a wildly successful auction. So I think the naysaying and the worries about the economy maybe were overblown. I'm hoping so. You like to remain optimistic, but this great bronze, you all remember this thing. We talked about it a few weeks ago. We're going to cover it more in more detail. We'll go through the whole sale, but there's the Shahu bronze that had belonged to the Qianlong Emperor. It was inventoried, you may all remember, at the palace, and then it had one owner, and now it has a new owner. So it's had three owners in 100. This will be the third owner in 300 years. So it's pretty impressive. Sold for $5.4 million, over the high estimate. Of the top estimate was 5, and it was that's not much over, but it is over, and it could have brought more, it could have not, but it shows resilience of the market. And of course, when great rarities like this turn up, there are obviously people and institutions very interested in it, and I don't know who bought it. It may end up in a museum. It may end up in somebody's home. Who the heck knows? But anyway, it was a beautiful thing. And then over to this. This is the Freeman sale. And as I said, I've recorded a bunch of it. The sale was very, very attractive. We did a preview of it a few weeks ago. And I thought it looked like an awful nice little sale. It's not a huge sale. It's only 150 lots or so, but great items. And one of the things that was in the sale, this was the top lot of the day, sold for $250,000 plus premium. So what's the premium on this outfit? About probably a third. There's a lot written about these, 31%. Okay, so it ended up selling for about $325,000. This spectacular Chen Minyan Zhao carved pomegranate and so forth, Yixing piece. He was a 17th century artist. He was a very, very, very famous artist. As a matter of fact, his work, he was so beloved by the Yixing potters that they made many copies of his work in the 1920s, and those are highly collected. The copies today, because of his reputation, the modeling and how he did it, and this was in the sale. This is a spectacular example of Yixing. You just unbelievable quality. And he liked mixed color clays. He liked purples mixed with there's sort of a greenish one and so forth. And then they have these speckles on it that look like pomegranates. And very realistically done. This was one heck of a piece of Yixing, and $325,000. There's the interior of it with a nut inside of it and so forth, very naturalistically modeled and so forth. And there's an extensive write-up. If you want to know more about it here, there's a whole write-up about the artist and so forth. He was very, very famous. He was a very, very famous Yixing artist, and there was another Yixing piece that brought about $260,000 as well. But this was an extraordinary piece, and we're going to go through the sale. We'll come back to it, but I just wanted to share that. That was pretty big news for the day. Other things that are going on, if for those of you that like rugs and carpets, Austrian Rug Company. I posted this over on the Patreon page the other day, but I wanted to share it. Those of you that like old rugs, this is an extraordinary rug. If you know what it is, bravo on you. It's a 4x8 foot Asari Bashir Saf. And these are small rugs. Well, it's not that small. Safs can be pretty. It's a type of rug. It's 4 by 8 feet, but it's an extremely rare type. This is the white ground Bashir Turkoman pieces are rare to begin with, but in this pattern, this checkerboard step pattern, are very, very unusual. This is a mid-18th century example, a true tribal piece, spectacular colors, beautifully done, and it should bring $20,000 to $30,000. There are only a handful of these in the world. Because they were worn out. They were, these rugs were worn and used in tribal environments, and they got worn out, and people just threw them away. I mean, this was it. But this is an extraordinary thing. If you are a rug buff and you want to buy something really rare for yourself, check out the Austrian Rug Company. The sale is on tomorrow. It's coming up. Oh, it's tomorrow. So if you're going to see this video tonight, register. But one heck of a carpet. One heck of a carpet. I know a bunch of you already registered, but I wanted to mention it. And the other thing that's coming up is this tomorrow. Oh, and I know a number of you have seen it because I've had some inquiries, is this very, very rare Chinese export grisaille and gilt decorated Wilhelm Durhoff portrait dish. This is a very, very famous type. There was one that was inscribed on the back that went through Sotheby's or Christie's a number of years ago, and it had come out of a famous collection. It had an inscription on the back, and it had all that history too. Sold for $33,000. It's a very, very rare type of dish. This is a late 18th century example, beautifully done, and it doesn't seem to have attracted too much attention yet. It's only got 14 people watching it, and it's at Luxor, has this. And it measures 7 inches in diameter. It's not a charger. It's a fairly small one. But if it catches fire, it's going to bring $3,000 to $5,000, or $2,000 to $3,000, $3,000 to $5,000, somewhere in there. There are hardly any records of these having been sold. If you go to the major auction houses, go online, you're not going to. Yeah, I think I found one, and that was the one that sold for $30,000. It's from a very, very rare pattern, very rare service, and there's an extensive write-up on him in the internet. If you look around, you'll find about who he was. And this portrait was taken from an engraving that was done of him, sent to China so they could copy it. All right, but it's a very interesting plate. If you like rarities, this is a rarity. Okay. And then over to this, just a reminder, that wonderful watercolor of caterpillars and moths is coming up at Eritor. When's the sale? It's a couple of days, right? So that also is tomorrow. As a reminder, I know a lot of you have signed up for the sale, but this is a wonderful watercolor. Beautiful quality. I don't know what they have for reserves on Eritor. They have a gallery. Their prices are pretty heavy, but maybe they don't have much on this. I would say go by and whack this thing with a bid and see how you do. Okay. And it's just so pretty. I like the negative space, and it's beautiful Chinese work, probably done it looks to be done in the first half of the 19th century. And then this is Stair Gallery. This just popped up yesterday. It's on the global pages already and on the Patreon pages. It's a set of 12. It's misleading because they only photographed 6 of them in the primary for some odd reason. It's a set of 12 Kangxi period dishes. There they are. And very nice quality, a beautiful pattern. I think it's going to do very, very well. I don't know who. There's no retail stickers or anything. I didn't see it was from Moog or any of the well-known dealers from the past. but it's going to do very well. I whacked it for a bid myself just because I thought it was so wonderful. But I think I'm right at the top of the bid pile. It's going to bring it should bring $2,500 to $3,500. I just threw a bid on it so I keep an eye on it and make myself get annoyed when I don't get it. It's always fun to have some frustration at the end of a week. At any rate, it's a beautiful set of dishes, and expect to pay $2,000 to $3,000 for it. All right, and then over here, this is an interesting sale. I came across this last night because they do have a very nice Chinese export bowl in it. But if you like early American art and furniture and American folk art, the real stuff, not the junk that they sell at Brimfield and all that crap, but the real stuff. There's a sale being run by Fred Giampetro. And if you don't know who Freddie Giampetro is, he was one of the top well, he still is one of the top American folk art and early American historical auctioneers and dealers in the United States. He's been around for many, many years. I knew him back. He used to come in and out of Essex when we had the gallery and the auction house over there. He would come in with some of the heavy hitters down in the New York area. Nice man, sort of a jolly character. And he loved primitives and loved folk art. He has the Shute sale, and this is a really, Thomas Shute and his wife were collectors of American folk art and primitives for a long time. So much so they have a 2-day auction coming up, and they bought from the best dealers in America. And if you like primitive and early American stuff, you want to check this sale out. There's checkerboards. There's all kinds of great decorative stuff in here. Great old painted surfaces. If you like old paint, that stuff that, it feels like it's from the 1680s, that kind of thing. Wonderful things, silhouettes, all this great stuff. Is coming up on, let's see, it's in 3 weeks, so you have plenty of time. I've already registered to bid on it in the sale for a few things. It is a terrific looking, I'm not bidding on the Chinese export bowl, I'm bidding on something else actually I just happen to like. But if you have an interest in this kind of art, you probably know who Fred is. But he's a pro, and this is a good looking auction. But one of the things that's in the sale of those is this very nice looking. This was bought from Eleanor Gordon, top premier American Chinese export dealer in the United States for many years. She wrote the famous book, of course, China Trade, one of the books on China. She wrote several books on China Trade. She was a great lady. My mother used to buy from her, as a matter of fact. And is this punch bowl. This is a lovely, lovely punch bowl. It's sort of done in the European style, beautiful gilding in wonderful condition all the way around. There it is. That's a good export bowl. Look at the interior. Clean as a whistle. She was known for this kind of stuff, Eleanor. She would sell pieces that were just almost untouched. And this is a very, very nice bowl. And it's estimated at $800 to $1,500, which is more than reasonable. It's got 9 bidders on it so far, and a beautiful, beautiful example. So if you're looking for a really elegant federal period, circa, well, they said 1780s. It's close, 1780 to 1800, somewhere in there. The sort of federal influence, federal style punch bowl. This is it. If you have federal furniture in your house, this is the bowl you want to own. All right, and then over here to this, there's a very nice Turkoman Bukhara carpet in this sale. Because these kinds of rugs go great with early American furniture. They have sort of a rustic, primitive look to them. These, of course, are Central Asian. This is a very nice example. Beautiful rust ground, crisp patterns, and it appears to be in good condition. I don't see any low spots in it. This is a gem of a rug, and it's good sized carpet. It's like 6 by something. It's a little over 6.5 feet by about 8.5, 9 feet in length. So it's a good size rug. Fill a room. The estimates are extremely reasonable, $250 to $500. Don't expect it to bring that. It'll probably bring somewhere in the $1,200 to $1,800 range. But it's a beautiful rug. If you're looking for a great rug and you have the furniture that would go with it, this is a nice, authentic, circa 1890s Turkoman Ursari carpet. They just called it a Bukhara, which is sort of a generic term, which is fine. But they're technically Ursari tribes. All right, and the other thing that's in the sale is this. If you like early, I'm going to get out of the furniture, but I know a number of you have asked me to talk about these a little bit. This is an exceptional piece of New England Chippendale furniture. It is a very, very rare type. It was sold by Peter Eaton. And those of you that have been involved with Americana know who Peter Eaton is. He's one of the best American furniture dealers in the country. He's been around forever and ever and ever. He had a long-time gallery in Newburyport, Massachusetts, along the Merrimack River, and now he's up in New Hampshire now. But he has an exceptional eye. He's sort of a character. He's a very nice man. And there's this. The form, The architecture of this chest is just exceptional. It's just a beautiful, beautiful piece of furniture. Graduated drawers, nice looking, well proportioned brasses, high bracket foot, complete height. This is what it should look like. Nice high foot, get it up off the floor, good overhang on the top, and the size is a very rare size. American furniture, those of you who buy American furniture know that once a case piece goes under 39 inches, it's a rare bird because generally they made them pretty big. Small chests were considered to be real luxury items by sort of well-to-do gentlemen, for well-to-do gentlemen farmers and this sort of thing. This thing is 35 inches by 34 inches. This is a very, very good diminutive chest. The estimate is peanuts, $1,000 to $1,500. Back in the 90s, this chest probably was worth somewhere in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. But it's a beautiful. It doesn't diminish whatever it's worth today. It is. But if you love early American furniture, Peter Eaton handled it. You know it's authentic, and you know it doesn't have anything probably replaced in it. It's probably in perfect original condition because he's known for only buying original condition pieces. But this was a very, very nice piece of furniture. And then right after, the family didn't have a lot of. This is very good Federal bow front chest. A really, really fine example. And they think the brasses are probably original to it. There's one missing down here, a bale handle you'd have to replace. But beautiful Federal period bow front, thumb molded around the top. Nice wood grain, good looking foot. They cracked the foot at some point, probably dragging it somewhere. But this is all original, and that's what counts. Nicely carved returns on the bracket feet. Just a very, very beautiful piece of furniture. There's the top of it, side view. This is a heck of a nice thing. There's the original. The backboards, of course, on American furniture always look like this because they were going to be up against a wall, and why put an expensive piece of wood on there if no one's ever going to look at it? So they would grab some nasty old pine boards that were laying around and slap them on the back when they built them. And there's the interior, lots of natural wear. Those are all the things you want to look for. Also, the estimate's peanuts, $500 to $1,000. Should do better than that. That's a beautiful, beautiful piece. But if you like this kind of thing and you need a great chest of drawers, how could you not buy that? and instead, buy a compression board thing from IKEA for $500 or $600 that literally is worth $10 the day you walk out with it. This is a very handsome piece of furniture, and I'm just going to say it. That's all. Okay, I won't go on too long, but it's a nice. I love this stuff. All right, now over here, this is the Freeman sale that's coming up on the. Let's see, when is this sale? This is in 6 days. Early stuff, some Han pieces, some Tang pieces, some decent looking Celadons, I must say, and some nice other things. And I'm going to go through some of the lots because some of them are very interesting pieces, very unusual. I picked out some of the interesting or really the pieces that jumped out at me. And one of them is this. This is a terrific vase. It came from David and Beverly Billings. They are a Nantucket family. He's been a collector for a long time. He's a very nice man. I've spoken with him. And he's originally, I think, from New Jersey, and he moved to Nantucket. And he's been very active in the community out there for a long time, in the Historical Society and all that. He's a gentleman. And he has this vase. And this vase measures 8 inches tall, but I want everybody to look at this thing. This is a wonderful thing. It's 18th century. I can't tell from the photos if it's Kangxi or not, but it's absolutely an 18th century vase. And it's got this high foot. And it's interesting because one of the very first great Kangxi pieces... Well, I'm back. There we go. We had a little phone interruption there. Somebody with a flambe vase that sounded very nice out in California. Anyway, this vase, I think this is terrific. And it's very similar to a very nice Kangxi vase I owned years ago. With this step foot and pear-shaped body, but it's got a green chimera running around it. Notice the little fish on this thing. This is a really interesting piece of porcelain. There's the bottom of it. Looks like an 18th century pot to me. If you like 18th century porcelain of rare forms, I would look into this. I would give it a serious look. The green, the whole thing, it's a very unusual type of vase. And the way the fish is done, it's got a lot of aspects to it that make me think it's probably Kangxi or mid-18th century. You want to get some more pictures of it, but boy, what a nice-looking piece of porcelain. And its estimates is reasonable: $1,500 to $2,000, $750 opening bid. I think it's going to do quite well. I think it'll probably bring $4,000 to $6,000, but we'll see. But unusual thing, very unusual. And then over to this. This is unusual. It's an 18th century bowl with a phoenix on it. And they didn't show much of a picture of the inside of it. It looks like the interior is unglazed. This is a very interesting pot. And you notice the glaze is very thick down in here. This is a really interesting thing. I do think it's 18th century, but it's a highly unusual form. And it was sold by Henry Moog. And he was one of the top Chinese porcelain dealers in the United States for many, many years. We've talked about him a bunch of times. There's his old sticker on the bottom. It's completely the kind of stuff that Henry would have sold. Very interesting bowl with a phoenix on it. This is and the edge. Notice the edge is a little bit irregular. I'm not sure. You gonna do some homework on this? I would love to see the interior more. But the estimate is peanuts: $800 to $1,200. It measures 9 inches in diameter. Highly unusual, and has a flat unglazed bottom. So it could be pretty early. You want to look into that. All right, and then over to this Zeton brush pot, 18th century. They're saying possibly Zeton. It sure looks like Zeton to me. I think that's an accurate thing. But this is one of these structured wooden brush pots. But if you like brush pots, this looks like a heck of a nice one. Certainly looks to be 18th century. Beautiful surface on it. Nice looking example. I think it's about 5.5 inches tall was the height, 5.25 inches tall. Estimated at $1,500 to $2,500, which is well within the wheelhouse. $750 opening bid. If you get it for that, you stole it. But it's a beautiful color. The color of the wood is just really nice, very earthy, very organic, lots of natural looking wear and so forth from its life on there, and nothing a little oil wouldn't fix up. Give it a little rub down. Probably could use a little lemon oil on it. It would look absolutely, won't hurt it, and it'll look great. And as I said, $750 opening bid. Nice looking piece of bamboo. And then this bronze. This is nice. Of course, it's a Feng Ding type, early type, but it's Ming Dynasty. This is a nice bronze. This is a form you see copied a lot, but you don't see a lot of the original Ming examples. This certainly does look like an original Ming example. And this is from the Billings collection as well, I believe. But very, very... Oh, there he is. There he is and his wife in their house. He had a lot of stuff, by the way. You can see in the background. And he loved to share the information. But he was a very nice man. He's still around. I guess he's still around. I don't think he died. Or maybe he did. I don't know. I haven't heard from him in a number of years. I know they've sold some of their things. But he was a nice man, anyway, to talk to. And this is the bronze. Very attractive bronze. It measures, how big is this thing? It's decent size. 6 inches tall. It's in the Chicago location, as they say. Estimate $1,500 to $1,500 opening bid, $3,000 to $5,000 estimate. I think that's about right for that. I think that's sort of on spot for that. There's 5 watchers on it. The sales in 6 days. A lot of people are going to think this is a copy, incidentally, because they made so many copies of them. This is not. This is an old one, in my opinion. I think it's a nice one. So do check that out. And then moseying along over to, the jar, the red jar. This is a nifty jar. It's 18th century. Also sold by Henry Moog. Look at the dog. Look at the foo dog on this thing. Look at the big chin. And this wonderful coral ground with the original lid. It has its lid. That's pretty amazing. And if you scroll through this, it's about, I forget, was it 9 inches tall? 9.5 inches tall. I was off by half an inch. There it is. But the color, the salmon, this very deep salmony color, and then the blue, I think it really works well. I love the top of it. I love the hawk on the back. Beautifully painted, very finely done. And there's the top of it with a bat flying over waves. More bats flying over waves. And there's the bottom with a Kangxi mark. I don't believe it's Kangxi. The red doesn't look right for that. But it definitely looks like a later 18th century piece. And that was what Henry sold it for probably 25 years ago, $2,600. He wasn't inexpensive, but boy, he had some nice things. I think just calling it 18th century is a safe thing. The estimate's $1,500 to $2,000, and like I said, it measures 9.5 inches tall. It may go very strong because the color is so appealing. This is such an appealing color combination visually. It stands out so well, and it's animated with the animals. So it could bring maybe more, but if you could buy it for $1,500 to $2,000, that's a really, really good buy. And then hopping along over to this. This is a very, very nice Kangxi period chrysanthemum dish. And it measures about 13.5 inches wide, so it's technically a charger. But it caught my eye because it's so crisply done. The decoration is very crisp on this, and they said scattered wear. Sometimes scattered wear means you're gonna have a hard time finding it. That's sort of a safety description when it comes to condition reports. I would ask about this spot right here. Is that a shadow or a repair? So one thing that caught my eye right here, this little area, and it may be the light, I don't know, but the decoration on this plate is quite splendid. And there's the back of it, Henry Moog. No, there's that line there. That might just be something from the potting. There it is on that side because it flips when you flip it over. But this is a Kangxi example. It's very nice. And it was $4,800 when Henry had it. And it's estimated now at $8,000 to $1,200. It's going to go beyond that. It's going to bring more than that. I think it'll probably bring between $1,800 and $2,600, $2,700. But it's if you're looking for a really nice Kangxi dish, this is a good one. It's almost done. It almost has the feeling like kakiyamon, that sort of thing. And then hopping along over to this nice big rose mandarin punch bowl. I normally don't talk about these too much. This is also at Freeman's, but it's very large, 15 inches, and the decoration on this is extremely good. This is early Daoguan period stuff. The way the figures are done, extraordinarily detailed. There's sort of a double Greek key border running around it. And I don't know if they showed the interior or not. There's one side, there's the other side. Yeah, there's the interior. Very nicely done. Very, very nicely done with this white ground and precious objects and vases all over the place. This is a very nice punch bowl, estimated at $2,000 to $4,000, which is probably about right. I think it'll probably bring $2,500 to $3,500 in there. I think that's probably reasonable, but it may go for less. So, leave a bid. I had somebody the other day comment on the video. He left a bid on a very nice Korean celadon at Bottoms or Christie's. So he got it for nothing. I mean, like $100 or something. So leave bids. Always leave bids. I leave bids everywhere. And occasionally I catch something. I get something really great. And then over to this are these little cups. I like these bowls a lot. They're the second half of the 19th century, the Republic period. They're dating them as Republic. I think they're actually older than that. I don't think they're Republic. I think they're probably 1880s or 90s. But it doesn't matter. They're just very, very nice. Here are the bottoms of them. Chin lung marks. But this doesn't look like Republic work to me. But they can say Republic too because it's safe. But it has these immortals all over it. Immortal bowls are rather interesting, and these are shaped. They have shaped rims, which is quite unusual, and they're very well done with chin lung marks. They are $1,500 to $2,500. I think they're probably worth $800 to $1,100 a piece. They should be. They measure 7 and 3, almost 8 inches in diameter each. So they're pretty good sized bowls. Yeah, they're very nice. They're very, very attractive. And then there's a big Kangxi charger. There's a couple of big porcelains. There's a 1 Li example coming up in the sale. It's a monster. This is 36 centimeters, 14 inches, Kangxi dish. Wonderfully done. And that's where this is again that technique where they apply cobalt over the white areas, leaving white areas open to create the decoration on the inside here. You see the blue and then the white, and then on the outside they did the white and they did the flowers in blue. So it's a reversal. It's a reversal of decoration that you can miss if you just look at it quickly. But that's how they did it. So here they drew in the blue and white, and here they drew in the blue and left out the white. And that caused the pattern. And this was something that was started very early on down the Yuan and the early Ming Dynasty, a technique they developed extremely early in the process. And there's the back of it, very classic, straightforward Kangxi back, and that nice ivory toned foot. Beautiful piece, estimated at $800 to $1,200. I think it's going to blow through that. I think it'll probably bring more. Don't be surprised it brings $1,500 to $1,800, but you never know. You never know. Go in today and leave a bid of $1,000 on it. You might get it. All right, and then this coral graze bowl. Again, they said the early 20th century. Maybe not, but it's beautifully potted. This isn't a big bowl. This isn't a big jar. It only measures 9 inches in height. It reads visually like it's a big pot. It's actually a very nice small one, but the color, the coral red, is very, very attractive on it. This came from a collection in Tennessee. But I flipped when you look at the picture on the bottom here, it has a young Chen mark, but the finish of the foot and all this, to me, seems much more likely to be just late Qing. It's not young Chen, whatever you do, but it's a very, very pretty piece. And I think the estimate is fine, $800 to $1,200. I think it'll probably bring between $600 and $900. We'll see. Interior decorators will go crazy over this thing. They love this stuff. And monochromes, of course, are still are very popular right now. So it may slip through, it may not. If the monochrome collectors glom onto this, it might bring $1,500 or more. All right, and then over to this. This is that big charger I was telling you about. 19-inch Wan Li charger, and this is a very nice one with ascending crows and a standing crow in the middle, and then very nicely done. But notice the quality of the decoration on here is very, very good, very crisp, very clean. And when you flip the thing over, almost hardly any kiln grit. There's tiny trace of kiln grit over here. A few chatter marks from the wheel, that's normal. But notice the foot is nicely done. It's not covered in sand. This was one that was particularly well made, particularly carefully made. And 19 inches. This is a big one. It's a very, very big piece of Wan Li. The estimate is $3,000 to $5,000, which I think is probably it might be a little heavy. The $5,000, I'm not sure, but it's definitely worth the opening. But it's already got an opening bid of $1,500. I think it stands a good chance of getting up there, but we'll see. But if you want it, leave $6,000 or $7,000 on it. That's all I'm going to tell you. And that's if you went to a high-end dealer in New York or London or Paris, this dish would probably be somewhere between 7,000 and 10,000 euros. It's a nice looking dish. It's big. The ones of this size are very, very unusual. And then over to this, the newsletter page. Last week, you may recall that I mentioned we're going to start because there's fewer and fewer auction items that I think are worthwhile turning up on eBay. I'll be very honest about that. I try to be all the time. I looked this week. There were only 300 auction lots on the site that had any interest from anybody. 330, I think it was, out of over 1 million listings. I'll show you how small the auction category is getting for serious antiques. So there's a lot of auctions, of course, like on eBay, of just pure rubbish, like they have everywhere. But it's a lot of the good dealers. I recognize some very good dealers that are on there that have gone to just buy it now pricing, but the prices aren't crazy. The prices are there to sell it, and that's pretty obvious. And you will also notice we changed the color a bit on the site. I did this just to let everybody know we've made changes, so I'm just trying to get everybody's attention to pay attention that we've made some changes to the site. The other thing we did this week, too, was that I'm still getting emails from people wanting to know how do they get a hold of Gerald Davison's book on Chinese marks. So he's on the internet. I don't know. He's not hard to find. But I took the link off the homepage and stuck it over here this morning, the book. And if you don't have this book and you buy Chinese porcelain and you're interested in rain marks, you want to get this book. The reason is that it has 4,200 marks in it. There aren't many. That's a lot. He spent his life doing it. He's a dealer. He was a businessman in London for a long time. He's retired. He went back into the antique business. Extremely nice guy. I've communicated with him. I don't know him personally, really, but we've communicated. He sent me a copy of his book when it first came out because I told him I wanted to add it to the website. We do not make money on it. This is just. I think it's just so worth having. And in the front of it, though, if you've been confused about marks and how to understand them and so forth, he did an outstanding job in the front 30 or 40 pages of this book discussing and showing marks and explaining what, how, when, all the details to get your sort of get your brain primered so when you're looking at the marks, you know how to do it efficiently. And it's a very smartly written book. Came out a couple of years ago. It's still there. You can still get it. If you haven't gotten that book, get it. It's not a cheap book. It's a £70 or €70 book, but it's worth it. It's worth it. I have a couple of copies, and this is I actually have it. It's right over there on the table. I keep it with me all the time. And when Buck isn't chewing on it, he likes to chew on that book. By the way, Mr. Davison, if you're watching, are you putting puppy chow in your book covers? At any rate, we have a puppy. He's having a good time. And at any rate, so there's that. But if you come over, we haven't updated the videos yet, but I have updated the content. The videos will all be updated by the time you see it. But a lot of these are buy it now situations. But I went through very carefully, running some tools to find things that were in reasonable price points and not, pie in the sky insanity buy it now prices. The Kangxi saucer for $5,000, that kind of nonsense. You don't want that. And these are good dealers. One of them is Guest and Gray, by the way. If you don't know Guest and Gray, they're one of the best dealers in Europe. And they do sell on eBay. And they sell nice things. And their prices are not crazy at all. They're dealers. And you want to go down here. There's a lot of material on here. I'm just going to scroll down. This is how much we found that looked all authentic. Nice examples. I love this. This is a very unusual... get it to load. There we go. Very unusual piece of Wan Li ware for 170 pounds. This is and how big was it? It was like 4 inches or something. It's in here somewhere. I think it's there. 1573. 4.5 centimeters wide, 7 centimeters. So it's about 3-4 inches. This is a very unusual piece of Ming ware. That's the shape and the form, and notice the rim is sort of, the potter had a little trouble with the rim, but this is a very interesting piece of porcelain. It really is. And there you have a little bit of kiln grit and gunk in there. You got a rabbit in the middle. This is a little nifty thing for $200. It's a good deal. That's a nice thing for $200. And there are a whole bunch of other pieces on here. Some of them you're going to recognize from European sales of the past, maybe, because that's where they buy. There's a Kangxi jar in here for $2,200. As we saw this week, Kangxi stuff is doing awfully well. And there's a bunch of some very nice Japanese arena. There's a bunch of Wan Li pieces in here, and so forth. So do check it out this week. I think you'll like. I'm not even halfway down the page yet. We've added a lot. And I think this may be the solution to finding things that of interest to people, because eBay, because they don't police their non-payers, the people that sell at auction are giving up. And that's sort of what's happening. It's been happening for years, but I think it's accelerating because eBay point blank refuses to really be serious about non-payers. Of course, in the real world, here in New England, if you have an auction, and one person doesn't pay or writes a bad check, it spreads like wildfire. And by the time that guy goes to his next auction, the auctioneer will already know that he's a deadbeat and he can't register. We ran into that situation. When I ran auctions, I kicked a lot of people out of the auction hall because we had a very good crew that knew all the auctioneers in the area. They all worked together, and we'd have people that come forward and they'd say, this guy owes so-and-so, his check bounced for $10,000. Now he's registering at your auction, and we'd have to ask him to leave, which was always interesting. Interesting reactions. One guy actually said to me once, "Well, I bounced a check on him, but that doesn't mean I'm going to bounce one on you." He actually said it to me, and I said, "Well, we're not playing that game." But at any rate, so the deadbeat issue on eBay has just gotten out of hand. So a lot of these very good dealers that handle very nice things are just saying, fine, we'll just do it as a buy it now. When it gets paid for, it's sold. But if it doesn't get paid for, it doesn't get sold. And so that's it. But there's some nice examples in here, and do check that out. All right, and that's it. Sorry, it was a little rambly today, but the phone rang, and I'm trying to write a little bit quick through it because we've had internet issues all week here. I was unable to record the second day of the Freeman sale because the internet kept kicking out. And as I mentioned in the video yesterday, Doyle was having an awful time staying online yesterday and the day before because of something going on in the corridor around here with Comcast and whatever. We had no internet connection for a big chunk of yesterday, and no phones. Which was kind of nice, very quiet. But I think it's been resolved. It's been up and running. Went out once this morning, but I think it's just a burp. But here we are. All right, so that's it for the week. A lot going on. I've got a bunch of videos we're going to work on in the coming days. I'm going to New Hampshire on Sunday. We're going to be up there for the week, so we'll be shooting from North Conway, New Hampshire. We're having some work done, getting ready for the winter, and plow guy's got to come by and talk to us. And wood pile, the tree that fell on the house last spring, you may recall, has been gotten out of there and fixed. The wires are reconnected. The cables back into the house and everything else. It was a wild thing. It was an enormous tree. Jesus, it's huge. Split the porch. We have a big front deck. It split it in half, just about. And there was a guest there. A friend of my son was staying there. He was up there with his girlfriend skiing, late spring skiing, and the tree came down at about 9:30 at night, right behind them. They almost had heart attacks. So it's a pretty funny story. At any rate, here we are. Subscribe here on YouTube if you haven't so far, and I hope you find something great. Go check out the sales we talked about this week, and watch for the upcoming post-auction results and so forth. And if you want to support the channel, of course, join us on the global member pages or come over to Patreon, and you get a little bit of extra content, and it's how we do things. How we keep things running. All right. Thanks so much. Have a good week. Bye-bye.